Great news, surprising news this afternoon. The Prime Minister announced that the Chinese dictatorship has finally released Cheng Lei, an Australian journalist who's been jailed for 3 years on totally bogus charges of spying or endangering national security.
I was able to have a conversation with an Australian citizen, Cheng Lei, who has arrived safely here in Melbourne and has been reunited with her 2 children and her family.
Now, Annelise suggested Cheng's release was just because it was the end of a court process. The court process had just come to an end, when in fact it seems like a political decision by China to let go someone who's been holding almost like a hostage or a bargaining chip.
China would not say that that's the position. China would say that the judicial processes had been completed in China.
But congratulations to the Prime Minister. That said, there is still another Australian, a writer and a dissident, still held in a Chinese jail for 4 years now. China may have released Cheng Lei, but it is still a dictatorship without the rule of law. Joining me is Sky News US correspondent Annelise Nielsen, who has run a long campaign to free Cheng Lei. She's a former colleague when both of them worked in China. Annelise Nielsen, congratulations on the work you've done on this case. You've spoken to Cheng Lei's family. What can you tell us?
Well, look, I've just been speaking to Nick today, her partner, who I've been working with pretty closely over the last few years to see this happen. And as much as we were hoping this would happen, it all has also happened very quickly. And so Cheng Lei was taken on a commercial airline, we're told, from China with Graham Fletcher, the ambassador, who's one of many people who've done a lot of unsung work in this to get her home. And they've arrived. And so we hear that the kids are hugely relieved and happy. Nick's completely stopped answering my calls or messages. And so I think that means that they're catching up, and that's exactly what we wanted to happen. But yeah, this has been 3 years of hard work, and it started with your program. And I'm sorry, this is an emotional thing, because when we started out, we didn't know how it was going to end. And the fact it's ended here is basically one of our best case scenarios. And I know I work for News Corp, they're my bosses, but they backed me in with this. It was sticking my neck out, and you backed me in as well. And we're really grateful for that. And I'm sorry, it's 4 a.m. as well. I'm very tired, I haven't slept. But the other person who needs credit here is Penny Wong. This wouldn't have happened without her.
Well, don't congratulate us. We just gave you a platform. It was your effort, and I'm so in admiration of what you've done. How much has Cheng Lei been affected by your ordeal, do you know?
Well, look, we know from the consular visits that she was really struggling. I mean, imagine not seeing a tree for 3 years, not having sunlight, and not knowing when it's going to end. I think that was the worst part. And so I think she was just looking forward to sentencing. So we know now that Chinese Foreign Ministry has said 2 years, 11-month sentence. So basically they just gave her time served. So I think if you needed a better indicator of just what a political maneuver this was, that's it, the fact that she's here now. But thank God we had some political maneuvering on our side to get her out, because that's what happens in these situations. And it wasn't fair. It shouldn't have happened. She shouldn't have spent one single day in that cell. But the fact she's not spending one more day there is just the best thing we could have hoped for.
Yeah, the whole thing seems awfully rigged. Why do you think she was released? The Prime Minister says the Chinese legal process just ran its course. I don't believe that for a second. What do you think is the real reason?
Well, I mean, it did and it didn't. It has a 99% conviction rate in China. So if you end up in that spot, you're barely getting out any possibility without some kind of conviction. Look, this has been our constant discussion for 3 years. We've floated so many theories. We've heard so many theories. And I think at the end of the day, she was just the wrong place, wrong time. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not privy to the highest level communications, as you can imagine. I'm not sitting there with the Foreign Minister and the PM talking to the Premier of China, but I just think it's the only thing that really makes sense. And I think it just took this long to maneuver her out. And I wish it didn't take this long.
Annelise Nielsen, for your part in this, well done. Virtue has its rewards. Go and have some sleep. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew.